Yo, Ben Goldson here. Today we're talking about influence. We're talking about how to gain friends. We're talking about making impressions. We're talking about, going beyond looks maxing, which everyone's trying to maximize their superficial appearance to become more attractive and magnetic and all that stuff. And we're talking about something that I think not a lot of people are talking about, at least in this way. We're talking about the aura, and we're talking about your energetic field and how that energetic field actually affects people. And this is going to be seen as like extremely mystical and an annoying concept to anyone who considers themselves like pragmatic and logical. And how could that ever make sense? The aura is fucking stupid. But we all know the classic example of someone with bad vibes walks in a room or walks in the circle that you're in and irritates people. And not only irritates people through physical apparent gestures, their tone of voice, their body language, and maybe they're sporadic. A lot of times it's subtle. It's almost like they don't even have to say anything and they're still irritating people. With that being said, there's a opposite effect of your energy just being calming, being disarming, and it activates more of a parasympathetic, calm nervous system in people. And we want to bring up Maya Angelou's quote, people forget what you did, people forget what you said, but they don't forget how you made them feel. So for all of these things, having a healthy aura, and not just having a healthy aura, but being mindful of how your energy impacts people, this single thing alone transforms your life. So I'm gonna talk about some of the things it's done for me. So I feel like I have a very great network around. If you guys don't know, most of my monies come from photography and video. And I've worked with a lot of influencers. I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who, in some cases, are pulling 9 figures a year for their company. Maybe that's not their net worth, but big companies, people of what I would consider high social influence, they're able to put out a statement. In some cases, it affects their millions of followers, all that stuff. Cool, whatever. Not to flex that. It's more so these are people that people are gunning for, and they had boundaries, and they're like not necessarily letting everyone in. I've been lucky to get on the inside with a lot of those type of people. And how do you think that was? Do you think that comes from back to becoming aware of how your energy impacts people? Aware of also this very key factor is a scarcity mindedness of how can I get and how can I preserve what I have versus how can I give? We look at this, there's a spring of water, it's flowing, all this energy is coming from it, plants are growing around it, flowers, berries, squirrels and rabbits and deer are coming. And then you look at a vending machine. It's very different. Some people come and they put their dollar in the vending machine and they get what they want out of it. But it's very different than a spring that's just flowing and attracting life. So again, back to this concept. How did I get on the inside with certain high profile people? It literally came down to energetic etiquette. Is my energy leaving them better? Is my word leaving them better? Sometimes less is more. Is my tone of voice? This is a strange X factor that you will want to start to become mindful of. Becoming aware of the parasympathetic and sympathetic. Sympathetic is, kind of more the alert mode. Parasympathetic is the rest. And so you remember when your mom's like nagging at you, like, go do this, your girlfriend, and it raises sympathetic. So back to even tone of voice, you can calm people, or it can activate them when you need to activate that, be like coach or where can I get it, boys? That type of thing is also important. Not just calming, but learning how to rile people up is very important. So again, coming into these people's lives, however I did enter, being mindful of that energetic etiquette is my gestures, mental gestures of thought, emotion poured into my voice, is my body language, is my actual concepts that I'm trying to inoculate into the soil of their mind, of their conceptual, what they're thinking about. Are they healthy concepts that make them feel relieved, make them feel seen, respected, heard, or not? Is it, hey man, we should do this? There a lot of people try to be that. They're trying to be helpful. Like, I have this great idea, but a lot of it comes off as transactional, comes off as pushy. It comes back to the simple concept of sometimes we think that, oh, like for instance, your girlfriend is stressed. How do I offer her 20 solutions versus how do I actually hear where she's at or hear where someone else is at and wonder, think about it. Don't come necessarily from the ego. You'll come from a calm equilibrium where your conscience, your higher self, your inner self that has this immense amount of wisdom, which is often spiritual. It's beyond this life. We understand with research in the noosphere, which is the collective consciousness, that humans actually pull information that we didn't necessarily experience in our lifetime actively. We all do this, and it's not a rare phenomena. So again, when you come from equilibrium and you're not like so stimulated and sporadic, like how do I motherfucker just tell them and prove my worth, but instead you're actually coming from a place of stillness. And back to the number one concept is, at the end of the day, it's great to get stuff. It's great to receive. It's great to build your wealth. It's great to build your notoriety or popularity, I should say. Humans thrive off a healthy social network for so many reasons. Good. But you have to discard that to purify your intention, to simply serve them, to simply help. And that's a tough one because we all want something. We all want to gain. It's embedded in our flesh, which needs resource to survive. Doesn't matter if you ate yesterday, probably have to eat today. Doesn't matter if you drank water yesterday, you got to drink water today. It's continual. So anyway, what we're talking about here is just back to energetic etiquette. And again, I've learned that this single thing alone, pure energetic etiquette, can I lead people better than I found them? Can I speak life into them? Can I hear where they're at so I can actually try to deliver wisdom, not spiritual ego wisdom of life. Let me show off how much are intuitive and wise, but genuinely something beautiful moving through you. Often that didn't come from your conscious mind. Often that came from the ethers, that you are the coherent enough vessel. They're bogged down with so much stuff that's happening. You're the coherent vessel that can serve the people around you. So this goes back to the aura. This goes back to stillness. There's so much stimulus. There's so much, whether mental stimulus, emotional stimulus, we're constantly dealing with emotions and thoughts. We're constantly dealing with environmental stimuli. We're constantly dealing with psycho stimuli, meaning things that are happening or triggering thought loops that could be supportive to the parasympathetic, that could be supportive to healthy sympathetic in the way that it activates you to go move and do things. But overall, I'll give you an example. Your boss texts you that you're not doing a good job, and now for the rest of the day, you're on a loop. And rather than being like, how can I do a good job? You move into loops of, oh, am I going to get fired? And if I get fired, is money going to come as easy? And then is rent going to be good? So we're starting to stack negative mental stimulus that feeds into us, creates, again, back to this container that we are, which is the aura. Is it pure energy? Pure as in it doesn't hurt, And what I mean, does it hurt? Back to, why do some people irritate you when they walk by? It goes back to, there's a cloud around them. And this cloud, as it mixes with you, it has noxious qualities. It has noxious effects on your mental. It has noxious effects on your emotional. You become uneasy, noxious effects on your physical body, your nervous system. And so we have to develop this objective awareness of energy. Do I want to carry this around? And we should have a more sharp reaction time, knowing something is bothering me. I have to do something to clear that. So we talked about energetic etiquette. Now we're talking about objective awareness of energy, and that flows right into energetic etiquette, but it also comes back to self-love, and it just comes down into mastery. Do I want noxious thoughts? Noxious is the big word here. The opposite word of noxious would be beneficial. Beneficial thoughts will, for instance, have a positive immune response on your body. We understand, again, people always said like mind over matter is relatively exaggerated. And you go talk to cardiologists and they say, yes, negative emotions are physically harmful on the body. Positive emotions are beneficial. It benefits the immune response. Thoughts can create a cortisol, adrenaline, neurokinephrine effect, for instance, that stops your parasympathetic. When you stop parasympathetic function, which allows rest, digest, healing, recovery, processing of cellular waste, digesting of what's in your gut, move that stuff out of there. All the different metabolism and immune responses associated with that get turned off for at least, 20 something minutes because that's the half-life of these hormones. But if you're constantly thinking it, you're constantly interrupting that immune response. So again, we understand with heart brain coherence, Institute of Heart Math, Northern California, dope dudes that really advocated for more of a metaphysical look at all this stuff. They understand also negative emotions kind of compress DNA, positive emotions elongate DNA. And then of course, what's circulating through the soft antenna of your amino acids, which make your DNA. Do you want it smushed, unable to send the energy, receive the energy, or do you want it expanded and flowing? So easy to understand that we have to be a little more objective. It's not about, well, I don't really care, because get rid of these stories that are limiting and the standard that is limiting. We're like, oh yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal to do things how I've done them, but become more strict and discriminating and get more surgical on, I just wonder what it would be like if I maintained the healthiest emotions, no matter what's happening. Experimenting with, it's not a level of being idle, it's not a level of being passive and bypassing your reality. We can still have active agency to overcome things in our life. But let's say there's a stressor or some turmoil, and rather than being pissed off, scared, we're more accepting, surrendered. We bless that experience rather than resist it. Yes, I see that it exists. Yes, I allow it to exist. I don't have to disassociate as I pretend I'm in some other place. And these are subconscious processes that most people are doing. We're not necessarily like, hey, let me disassociate and fucking die while I'm, no one's doing that consciously. It's a subconscious process. So we got to raise the standard on our aura. That means, again, simply put, becoming far more discriminating on what you allow. I don't allow a negative thought to be fed and fed and fed and added to and aided. And don't just open the doors into my being. Yes, negative thought, kick this down. Again, we're cultivating like a level of peace. When you go to the beach or when you go on a nice walk and you cultivate this nice peace, and then you let this thing come in and kick it down and break the nice property that you're developing, it's extremely unwise, and it's might be seen as a weird metaphor, but that's exactly what's happening. Then you got to go and develop more peace, so to speak. So if you don't have that discrimination, who is going to? Your mother's not going to, your girlfriend's not going to. Hopefully they do, but you cannot rely on people around you to pull up, go inside your head, look around, pull out the negative thoughts. That's for you to do. And you have to understand that the mind, like all things in nature, just feed. Doesn't matter. And when I mean feed, it means it gives energy. And when I mean it gives energy, you got to pull these weeds, because the soil of your mind is going to just build and build and build that energy. You got to get rid of that shit. So that's an essential part of the aura right there. And again, I want to talk about networking again. When people are constantly coming around you and you have served them and you've gifted to them, because you, again, back to being a spring, how do you become a spring? Do you constantly worry about what you receive? Do you constantly worry about how little you have? Or do you maybe not think about that and you're focused on how can I be a channel of goodness coming through me? Maybe that's not your direct approach, but say your line of work is anything, um, the chances are you get more practical opportunities the more that you're um, service oriented towards helping people, benefiting them. Oh, that's not necessarily your job, but you do it real quick and it takes, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe longer. But you just took a load off someone's shoulders. There's a whole Benjamin Franklin effect, not to milk this, but when you do a favor for someone, they feel subconsciously eager or willing to give a favor in return. So when it comes to networking and you're just benefiting people and supporting them, and again, ironically, it supports you because you're telling the universe, you're telling your cells, don't close off. Let's just figure out all the ways I can transform the life around me, benefit the life around me, enrich different little things that grow. And one, you're going to get this enthusiasm to see your agency that's going to build your confidence, that's going to build your sense of power. Like, whoa, I'm doing a lot of cool shit. Let's just keep it going. Your mental framework is going to change. That's going to pour into your self-image. That's going to pour into your worldview. Like, whoa, life's not that hard. I'm kind of a G. All that happens. But then the byproduct of impacting different social circles comes back to return to you. And the theory is you could try to run to another universe or planet. And the law of cause and effect is real. It's going to follow you no matter where you go. And when you're constantly giving and constantly supporting, you can try to get away from that love that you've given, but it will find you and it will support you. So that's very different from how do I hold on to everything that I have, And again, even just a simple thought is backlash. There's the law of backlash always, the boomerang effect. So rather than just physical gestures of support, loving words, even just thinking like, oh, today's gonna suck, yada yada yada, that stuff comes back. That stuff again goes back into the container of your aura and just doesn't support you. So again, self-love to be like, I don't really like that, So what else can we talk about? I want to talk about real quick. A lot of people are focused on like looks maxing, like girls don't necessarily like me because I don't have. But people talk about swag. People talk about mojo. People talk about just your X factors. People talk about that. That's the aura. That's this cloud of energy that permeates you. That is subtle but noticeable, very noticeable. It permeates your gestures. It permeates how you go about stuff. So I would say for everyone that is like self-conscious about their appearance, their lack of swag, like fashion, stuff like that. We all know there's people that wear the right clothes and normal people will note, oh, they don't look good in those clothes. They don't have the confidence. They don't have so we already know that putting lipstick on a pig, as they say, that covering up your insecurities, covering up your shortcomings, often conscious shortcomings, because you won't level up and you won't act different and you won't act confident and you won't act strong and you won't act smart and you will check out and you'll be passive and you'll be a mediocre and inferior being. Putting on a disguise, even normies see that that's a disguise. Even normies note that. A lot of normies don't, but a lot of normies do. And what is normal? Everyone is some level of perceptive, some level of psychic and intuitive of energy, So again, the aura is kind of proving that we're all aware of energy. It's just a lot of us don't have the language to say, oh, that's what that is. I didn't notice that person's energetic field is affecting mine. The Institute of Heart Math even said when you're within a few feet of someone, 5 to 8 feet, they say you're sharing a heart field. Different things start to happen where there's a long story short, a merging happens, So it's important to understand this stuff. But yeah, it's like back to all the stuff that we're saying. If you're trying to impress a girl and you're focused on the right things to say out of ego, that's very different than, yeah, we can go into this whole dating talk, guys got to be cheeky and tease and all this shit. I'm not going to disagree that there's validity to having ego and having not necessarily a pure saintly approach to life. I'm not going to act like, oh, this is how you get a million chicks. But what I will say is back to energetic etiquette. Is your aura noxious? Are your words noxious? How are they making people feel? How people feel around you and after you, that is the biggest level of how they associate you. There's certain people that when I see them, I dip the other way because they overshared, they asked for too much, they didn't listen, they irritated me. And these are objective things. My nervous system is irritated. I can try to override it, I can try to be patient, but if that effect that they're putting energies on my body and I have to fight off the negative, it's allostatic stress load theory where stressors come in. How does the body regulate it? It's like, yo, number one thing you can do, cultivate good energy, cultivate the best thoughts that you can have. And again, good thoughts attract other good thoughts. I'm not saying you should just walk around with the best concepts. I have the best concepts. It's just rather than these big concepts, it's all the little things. Are the little things inoculated with love? Are the little things in regards of your emotions? It's not just this one big emotion of, it's the thousands of emotions you feel a day. You consciously try to bring it in with love. Or is it fear? Or is it scarcity? Or is it lust? Or is it anger? Or is it, all the inferior emotions? Start to get objective with what would that emotion feel like in my body, in my mind, in my heart, how would it move into my actions? How does it affect the subtle little degree of difference? We see it in athletes when they're in flow state and they're just, that has to do with their nervous system. That has to do with the energy that's flowing through them. So again, how can I have the best energy flow through me? It's mental, it's emotional, moves into my physical gestures, and moves into my sonic verbal words, moves into this mysterious field of energy around me. And I'm going to just say this. I have attracted some of the loveliest ladies in my life, ladies that are not just physically beautiful, but have beautiful hearts that are very brilliant, so it's like, why are they content with me? Why are they happy with me? It's not necessarily because I'm like, oh, I watched this fucking video and I teased her in the right way and I waited this long to respond and I looked in her mouth to force some NLP, all the weird ass shit that you see in dating videos. I was going to say crazy shit. For me, it's like, I just wanted to leave them better than I found them. I just wanted to, whether I got anything from them, whether I got sex, whether I got a relationship, it's back to that golden rule of surrender. You cannot try to control people. You cannot be transactional. I know this is hard. This is the hardest part of the whole thing. You can't be transactional. Everyone is so transactional and they profit and they gain and they get the girlfriend that they manipulate that they don't end up happy with, and they get the business that they're getting tons of cash. Everyone thinks they're so successful. And meanwhile, they're still going through negative thought processes, lowering their quality of life. Yeah, they have the cash, but their mindset, their heart is heavy, all that sort of stuff. So we have to realize, hey, it's kind of annoying to be non-transactional, to surrender, to not want to get anything from someone. But at the end of the day, I become warmer. I become easier to be around. When people feel safe, crazy things happen. That's what I'm saying. That back to my networking, back to my dating history, all that sort of stuff. It comes down to, are you alarming? Like, what does this dude want from me? What happens if I give him more leeway into my life? Is he going to come in and kick some boxes down and try to pull me like a marionette? Or does this person watch out for me? Does this person protect me from even their inferior quality? You all have a shadow, and they safeguard me from not just the world's darkness, but their own bullshit. This is some stuff that will really go far. But again, it comes down to self-cultivation. I'm not going to say just be warm today and chicks are going to love you. I was saying be warm for a longer period of time, give for a longer period of time, Let energy flow through you from, again, we are spiritual beings. Where's our energy coming from? It's coming from a divine origin. Let that divine energy flow through you by being deliberate, not closed off, like, oh, no, so much time and so much energy, and I have to protect myself. Of course, there's mindset when it comes to not overgiving. Give for a longer period of time, self cultivate for a longer period of time. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to just be like a fucking G. You're going to have a lot to give. And again, back to like your SWAT, like not even just your aura, but that moves into, again, your more, this aesthetic is going to come through, this body language comes through when your nervous system feels some type of way, when your soul is feeling healthy and happy to be in your body. Again, when we're filled with all these noxious, annoying ass thoughts and emotions, the soul who's used to life on high is like, I don't really like being in that body. And that's why we need to realize there's a level of soul retrieval that is supported through having a healthy aura and vessel. So when that soul comes in, it's coming in with like lifetimes of wisdom. It's coming in with spiritual functions that we don't see. We're linear beings. The soul comes in and now, boom, a broad and diverse richness enters you that you become different from the rest of the people. And it's not that you're like this weird, aloof, spiritual sage, like, oh, that dude's kind of weird. It's grounded. And again, you're grounded because you're not coming from high ego and high like mental stimulus. So how can I prove my smarts and prove all this? You're coming from a place of equilibrium. So I don't know, man. That's just a little rant on the aura. And there's so much to say. This was definitely a freestyle. Just throwing so much out there. But there's so much to say when it comes to cultivating the aura. There's an aura course that I've been building for a while. So if you're interested in this video, please, would love to see you get that course on my school. There's a chance also to talk with me directly if you're into that sort of thing. There's only so much you can maybe learn. At the end of the day, I don't want to say it like that. The hope is that when you read these words are windows, they're doors nor so. When you open that door, you go into this concept and then you look around while you're in that concept. It's not that you read the words and hope that they change you. The words are little steps on the ladder, so rather than like, oh, how can I just read endlessly and fill my mind with new concepts, it's actually, how can I just like read something very, very, very insightful, and then boom, as a spiritual being, how can I like pop into these new realms that the concepts brought me into, meditate, just permeate my aura with these, permeate my being with these energies. And then you're going to be finding out shit that I don't even know, because that's just how it works, So it's nice to get coached. So if you want to get that course, let me know for sure. Hop on the little school. If you want to get coaching, for sure, I'm here for you. But at the end of the day, I'm just a supporter of your higher self. Your higher self is capable. You need to support your higher self by understanding the concepts that we're talking about, getting open to this stuff and living this new way of life. It's a new era. We need motherfuckers that can carry that energy, represent, be the beacon of light in this crazy world. They're trying to turn us to motherfucking robots. Can't be having that. So thanks for watching. Peace.